I'm always looking to add new interesting cacti to my collection. The only issue I'm running into at the moment is that I live in a city apartment and space on my 2 terraces is very limited. In fact, there are currently so many plants crammed onto my 2 terraces that I hesitate to bring any more new ones due to the weight of them. I'm not sure how much weight these terraces are meant to support, but I would not like to put it to the test. This is why lately I've become more selective with the new adult cacti that I bring in. Most of the trichocereus that I purchased this summer are of flowering age, and some did indeed flower, which means I was able to cross them with some of my other plants. That is the case of Pachanoi Masia, which I will be showing you in this video. Well, at the moment, I'm afraid I don't have much to show you, as the 2 cuttings I've got are thirsty and etiolated, so you won't really be able to see what they're supposed to look like until their ribs are fuller and the growth at the tips normalizes. About 2 months ago, I placed these 2 cuttings in temporary pots so that they make some roots, in my usual rooting mix of about 50% soil and 50% perlite. I found some space for them on my south-facing terrace, but there they were exposed to a lot of sun, so I had to protect them with some shading material to avoid them getting more dehydrated than they were already. This light green fabric does not provide with much shading, but it helps a bit. When a plant is rooting, it is not recommended to leave it in full sun, especially if it's already looking thirsty. I'm not sure if these have rooted or not. I don't like to lift plants to check for roots, as this typically breaks some of the roots. What I prefer to do instead is water from time to time and see if the ribs get any fatter. If they fatten up, then that is an indication that there are roots and that the water is getting absorbed by the plant. In this particular case, I'm not quite sure if the ribs have gotten any fatter. Given the fact that the cuttings have been there for already 2 months and it's been warm weather, I would imagine that they have made some roots, but they might still be just shoots at this point and probably can't absorb much water yet. I got these 2 cuttings from a community in Spain where they grow San Pedro for ceremonies that they organize. There are a lot of Pachanois there, as well as all other sorts of sacred cacti. I was in heaven when I visited that place, and I would like to thank my buddy Suriel for making me discover it. The community is based on a huge piece of land, lost in the middle of nature, and what they've created there is quite impressive. I wish I could show you images of the amazing cacti and beautiful nature surroundings, but it's probably not a great idea to make information public about any place that organizes ceremonies. When I went there, I noticed piles of San Pedros already cut, waiting to be consumed. They were all of the same strain. I did a trade with the one in charge of the community, a really great person I must add, and I was able to bring back home the 2 large cuttings that you see here. The tops are etiolated because they grew while being stored at the community. However, the etiolation was a bit more severe when I got them, and also more angled due to the cuttings being stored horizontally. I remember thinking, I will definitely need to chop the tops off. But since then, they are fattened up a bit and straightened up. So now I'm not sure about cutting them anymore. Maybe the tips will fatten up some more when the cuttings are finally rooted and they have absorbed water, and that will be an acceptable level of etiolation. We'll see. With the tips as they are now, and the ribs so dehydrated, it's hard to imagine what this strain will look like. However, since I got the cuttings, this pup came out at the bottom. This gives you an idea of how the tips of this plant will look like. One thing I can tell you is that Masia seems to be a fairly fat Pachanoi, as all the cuttings I saw of it were quite fat. I have also noticed that it seems to have more ribs than Pachanois usually have. This cutting, for instance, has 9 ribs. It's often the fatter Pachanois that have more ribs, so this is no surprise. For those of you who want to know what the flowers look like, there you go. As for the fruits, they grow in the shape of an American football ball, which is not usual, the fruits normally being round on a Pachanoi. And when they open, they look absolutely wild. Just check this one out. It's big, and the outer skin of the fruit is split in 2 halves. Not just that, but the seeds are super easy to clean. All the fruit pulp seems to liquefy when run under the tap, and goes through a sieve without much rubbing, leaving only the seeds. This year I managed to produce various crosses with Masia. 2 of them have Masia as the mum, which means it carried the fruit. Several others have Masia as the dad, in which case Masia provided the pollen and the fruit grew on a different plant. If Masia is the mum, then the genetics of the seeds will be about 2/3 Masia. If on the other hand Masia is the dad, then Masia will only account for about a third of the genetics. The 2022 harvest has just completed, and now I have plenty of new exciting crosses with Masia as well as other genetics. So if you want to receive a list of the seeds I have available, feel free to drop me an email and I will reply with information, photos and prices. You will find my email address in the description of this video, but I will also make it appear now on the screen. It's sanpedromastery@protonmail.com. And please mention your country when you send me an email. You can expect another video dedicated to this strain in a couple of years when it has grown a bit, so we can take a better look at it and also see how fast it grows, which currently is unknown. In the meantime, I'll see you soon for more short videos showing you the different varieties of San Pedros that I have. Hasta luego, amigos.